Welcome to the Esmery Card Studio. Today's project is another personalized wedding gift, so let's get started. For the first part of today's project, we're going to need a substrate. In this case, it's a little wooden house, and it's just wood that my husband sawed for me, and he just put them together with a nail gun. Then we're going to need white chalk paint, or I'm going to use white chalk paint as the base for this. And on top of that, I've already cut out stencils with my silhouette. I'm going to do paint on a tree, as well as the last name and the date they are getting married. And for that, we are going to need some paint. So I'm going to do green, as well as browns for the tree, and then of course the black just for the name or the wording that's on there. We're going to need painter's tape so that we can secure it with the stenciling, as well as painting. We're going to need paint brushes, a toothbrush or a stencil brush, whichever you feel comfortable with. And then I'm going to use a beeswax polish as a sealant today. I'm not going to use any other sealant because this is going to work on top of the white. It's going to bring it, it's just going to give it a little bit more character, and it's not going to be as stark white. So for the second part of the project, which is the metal embossing part, we are going to need our pewter, and I have a couple of pieces here. So I've again cut out on my silhouette a cutout of a couple kissing as well as a dark, and so we're going to cut that out of the pewter. And then I have two extra pieces here because I'm thinking of using my crimper and just add sort of a corrugated tin roof to the house, but I'm not exactly sure whether I am going to do that. Then for tools, we're going to need the essential tools like always, which is our Teflon tip tools, a stylus, our paper stamps. We might need a pencil just for tracing, but you can use your stylus for that. And then just something to make sure that when you add your or glue or adhere your pewter to your substrate, to make sure it goes down properly. And we're going to use Sookwang tape. I did pull out the permanent water-based markers as well as paper towel, but I'm not 100% sure if I want to add patina or faux patina yet. I might just decide to leave it silver. I will make that decision later. And then lastly, as always, we're also going to need our metal embossing work surface. I've gone ahead and I have painted the little house with the it's a folk art home decor chalk paint. And then I've also took a little piece of sanding paper, and it's 220 grit, but you can use any grit. And I've just sanded it down a little bit just to make it smooth. And the next we're going to do is we are going to add our stencil to the design. And so what I have here, and it's just, you know, to work out your placement. That's why I got the cutouts, because I know this is going to go there. And now I've lost the little dark, but I know the dark is going to be sitting here. And, well, actually, it's going to look towards them. So this is a good placement for the tree. And then the date of the wedding is going to go right in there on top. So once you have everything spaced out, now you're just going to secure the stencil. I'm using burnt amber for the tree trunk, and I'm also going to use a old little toothbrush that I have, and the reason for that is I don't want to have a full coverage because I don't really want a lot of, although it's coming out fairly dark, yeah, but it also gives sort of texture when you are using a toothbrush. Of course, obviously I don't have enough on there. So it mimics the texture that a tree stump or a tree, whatever you call it, has. So I'm going to go around like this, and then I'm just going to fill up everything here, and once that is done, I will come back in and do the leaf. When you're done doing the tree trunk, I figured out it's a tree trunk. Sometimes my brain run out of words. Just lift it and see that you do have the coverage that you are looking for. And again, I didn't want a big coverage. I don't know why I removed this, because I wanted really to, it sounds weird, but I want it to be a little bit monochromatic. But yeah, let me just tape this down again. And the next is going to be, we are going to be moving on to the leaves. I'm going to use a little stencil brush for the leaves, just because I want it to be, it's a lighter color, so it can be a little bit more opaque, although I still want to try not to get it too opaque. So come in, dab, 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 and dab, 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 dab. And that is how we're going to do all the leaves. I'm just going to add that touch of color with the paint. You can go solid with this as well. It all depends on the look you would like to go for, but again, like I said, I want to have a very, not a very colorful project. Lift the stencil when you are done to make sure you are happy before you remove it, because this one is a fairly easy one, but sometimes you really struggle to get it back on the same place. So the next one we're going to do is the, while that dry, I think I'm going to go with the bottom one, which is their name. And that I'm going to do in black. I think I'm going to add this one too now. Just tape it down, and then I will stencil both of these. So we're just going to come in, and we are going to stencil on the name. And again, you know, when you do this, you can always use a repositional glue for your stencils, if you do have some. I have some, I just don't know where it is. Story of my life. I'm actually busy cleaning up my, well, for the longest time now, I'm trying to clean up my studio. I just find some things that's lying around, but yeah. Okay, so I'm going to continue on with this, doing the name as well as that, and then we will move on. A tip for you: when you cut out your stencil or you do stenciling with paint, don't cut so close to the edges, because now I had to go back in and tape everything just because I was starting to go off and onto the white. So again, now I need to come in, and I think this might just work a little bit quicker now, so that I don't have to worry about going onto the white, and let's hope not a lot seep through either. Let's get ready for the big reveal or the disaster. It can be any one of the two. Okay, no, it looks okay. Well, I'm going to remove it no matter how it looks. Oh, it looks really good, I think. So the next is I've made a cookbook, and I've also stenciled the name on. Well, it wasn't the name, a message. So I will come back in later with white, and where the openings of the solids is, I will come back in and I will paint that white later on. So I'm going to put this off to the side, because for now, this is basically the only painting we are going to do. and then we can move on to the pewter work, and then we can come back. I did smudge there a little bit, so I think I will just touch that up at a later stage. Okay, going to wash my hands and on to the next step. I've secured the stencil or the cutouts to the pewter, and that is on the front of the pewter. And next is I'm just going to trace. Actually, I think I'm going to use a pencil. So I'm just going to use a pencil, and I'm going to trace everything here, and we will be cutting out the whole design. Just try and keep this down so this does not move when we are tracing, because that might just end up in a disaster. Oops, maybe I should hold it down everywhere where I go. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the cutout in here. So this is basically a stencil negative, what they call, and I'm going to add where I need to cut out on the inside. So I will need to cut out those areas, those two spots. And then what I've done is I've sort of sketched this. Let me just see if it can match up. And yeah, just more or less where his arms needs to go. So I'm going to do this freehand. So arm is coming in here, and then this would be the hand. So it's going to go up a little bit there for the hand, and let's bring it in there. And oh yeah, he's got big muscles. And that's so that will cut out. This we're just going to raise a little bit with high relief. And for this one, her arm is sort of going straight from there. And yeah, this doesn't look very it's the hand thing. You need to go, this area of the hand is not as wide as the other, so that's why it's looking so weird. So we need to give it a little bit of a shape there as well. Okay, this goes there, that goes there. And then for her legs, oh, we're going to do the skirt down here, and let's do a small little opening there too for the legs. Okay, I think that is about it. And again, as I said, I'm not going to add a lot of detail. I might just come in and do a little bit for their hair, but I'm not really sure if I even want to do that. But let's just draw it in, and for in case I decide to do that. I'm going to work on the back of the pewter now on a paper pad, just to give it a little bit of dimension. But again, as I said, I don't really want a lot. Actually, no, I think I'm going to go onto my semi-soft surface, because the paper just does it for me. And just coming in with my paper stump and pushing it out a little bit. I guess I can do it the way that you do the high relief too, but I'm just scared that I'm going to pop that. So that would be where you trace it and you retrace it again. I don't know if I must do that. I'm not sure now. No, I think I'm just going to try it this way now. I'll just keep on going back to the front. And see how that is doing. I can always, once I've popped it like that, you can always come in and work on your hard surface again, because then you have that little bit of depth already there. Okay. And I'm going to raise this leg. So this is what I'm going to follow, and I'm going to raise the arms as well. Oh, first the dress and the pants, and then after I will do the arms. So I'm going to start section by section and just do slight high relief, and then come in on the hard surface, still with the paper stump, turn it around, and I'm going to need to do the heels here. You can't really see the heels, and I have to be careful as well that I don't pop them too much. Okay, and then once it is that far, the next step is we're just going to come in and we are going to refine around. And again, when you do this refining, you can either use your stylus or you can continue on with your Teflon tip tool. And there you go. So I'm going to raise the whole design like that. And I'm also going to do exactly the same with the, oh, she's got very square legs. That looks so funny. I'm going to do exactly the same with the little puppy. Well, Ali the dog is still a little puppy. So, yeah. And once that is all done, I will come back in with the rest. Actually, before I'm going to do the rest of these, I think I'm just going to add a little bit of detail with my stylus. And I'm just merely running it on to mimic sort of curls, because she usually have her hair curled. And that will just add a little bit of definition as well. And yeah, he doesn't really have curly hair, so but we'll just give him a smooth comb over or a hairstyle so that he at least have some hair too. Okay, and we're gonna cut that out, we're gonna cut that out. And I wonder, maybe we must just do something here to give them some chins, I think. Yeah, and that will come when we are going to cut out. We will cut out so that they at least have some chins there. Okay, now it's going to be back to raising everything exactly the same as what I did the legs. Something I just want to mention is when you are doing this, think about how it would look in real life. So I did the skirt part now, and now I'm going to do the top part there, because I know once I do his arm, I would like to have definition there. So that's why I come in and I refined this area here between the skirt or her dress and where his arm is going to be, because his arm is going to be a little bit higher than what the skirt is or the dress is. So we're going to do that part now, and then we will come in with this one, which is the highest, and that will there will be the definition between there as well. As I was sitting working here, I was actually thinking to do the alternative high relief would have worked actually perfect for this. But you know, sometimes you think about things after the fact. And I'm talking about the way that I did the box with the mandala, the half a mandala, where I show how you actually work the pewter from the outsides into to get the high relief. So I will link that video, and then you can have a look at that video. And really, I think that would have been a perfect way to do this. But in hindsight, you know what? I've already started. So I'm just going to continue on the way that I have done it. I've done this, I went around, I refined it, and then I do realize I will definitely have to work on my dark embossing skills, because this looks anything but like a dark. So I went back and I've retraced this, and when used the stencil again, and then what I did was I did it on, well, I've traced it on the paper pad, and then I relined it on the soft surface, and then I used the one again. I will link that video below on how I pushed the excess pewter into this for the high relief. So yes, I definitely think this is how, should I ever do this again, that is the way that I will do this. So I'm going to fold this up with wax, and once the wax had set, I'm going to add some Sookwang tape to it, and then we can move on to the next step. While I'm waiting for the wax to warm up, I think this will be a good time to come in, and I'm going to try and touch it up where it's smudged a little bit, but I'm not going to be too concerned about it if I don't get it completely touched up. And then the next one is I'm just going to go in and I'm going to do a little sliver, so sort of to open the E's and the A's and the G's and the zeros again. I'm just painting a sliver in there. Okay, the A will get a little bit of a bigger sliver, but I find sometimes it is just easier to come back in to do things than what you're trying to have the tabs, because I know when I work with stenciling and lettering on the pewter self, I would usually do the tags and close that up later. But when it comes to painting or stenciling the letters, I just feel it's way quicker to come in and just paint it in. So here we have just the 2 zeros. And we need to touch up. And then this can dry again while we cut out, while we cut out the pewter. After we've put the wax and the Sookwang tape in. Okay, there are 2 zeros, doesn't look 100% the same. But it's a thought that counts. I might just come in later and just touch that one up again with some black. Why don't I just, oh no, I can't because it's still wet and I'm going to make a bigger mess. So, okay, I'm going to fill with wax and add the Sookwang tape. I'm going to quickly clean this with a alcohol swab. So I'm going to wipe it down with the alcohol. And what happened to my piece of paper towel? Now, don't know what happened to my piece of paper towel. It's always gone. Let me just quickly grab one. And then I'm going to dry it. So I've already filled it with wax and added the Sookwang tape. I'm going to do the same with the little puppy. That now more or less look like a puppy. As I said, I definitely will have to work on my dark embossing skills. Okay. And I don't know, I feel I don't want to use the blackening on here or faux patina, but it still needs something. Let me just think a bit while I'm going to put this aside. And then the next one, what I'm going to do is I'm quickly going to run these through the crimper. These pieces of, I never know how to do this. I'm always like, oh, okay, no, wrong way, or yeah. Oh, if you read the pictures, you know what to do. Okay, so it's going in this way, and then I'm just going to turn it. And this is going to be for the corrugated gate, the corrugated roof. And I think I'm going to use the faux patina on these ones. Out, and I'm going to use the dry needle point cutter for the insides between the two bodies, and for the rest I think I might just use my scissors. And so you're going to start from the one end and you're sort of going to give yourself a guideline. And once you have that established, you're going to go back in and then you are going to cut. So if you would like to know more about how to cut, again, there is a video about that as well. That, oh golly, and there I went right into his arm. Oh no. So let me think how I can fix that. So what you can do to prevent that is cut from the one side, cut halfway up, and then you start from the other side. And doing it that way, you will prevent that. So let me quickly figure out how I can rectify that. Or what can I do to fix that? So I always say, if you think long enough, you will come up with something what you can fix it with. Okay. So I'm going to, again, make sure that you cut through the Sookwang tape everything, and not the way I did it. So I'm going to cut out that piece as well, and then, oh, and that little one between the legs, and then we can move on to the next step. For the bodies or the outside areas, I am just using plain small scissors, and I'm going to go around again and just cut out everything there. And then I'm still trying to think what I'm going to do with that little mark. Next step is we are going to add the corrugated roof, and that's to say if we can get the Sookwang tape loose or off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the outside edge so that I can fold it over the top, and to make sure that it is right on the tippy edge there. Now I'm just going to place it down. And no, oh, almost cut myself. So if you work with this, please be very careful that you don't cut yourself. And I'm going to fold it over. And I'm going to use my normal tool that I use to make sure everything goes down properly. So you can't work too hard with this, otherwise you're going to take some of the corrugated out. But just make sure that it adheres very well. And I'm going to do exactly the same with the opposite side. Our roof is on, our establish is right, our names is on. The rest that we need to do now is we're going to need to put this on, as well as the dog. I ended up cleaning this again with a cotton swab and drying it, and the reason is just as I was cutting, some of the glue particles of the Sookwang tape actually came onto the pewter. Adding some alcohol ink to the hair. And I think he can have some color on his hair too. Give such a definite line. I don't really care for. And of course, the more you fiddle, the worse it gets, but will you stop? Never. Okay. I think that should do it. Next step is we're just going to glue everything down, and I've already removed the Sookwang tape from the bodies. So looking at that, her feet is actually bigger than his feet. Okay. She's sort of going to be hanging up in the air. His feet is going to be touching. I wanted it to go a little bit more to that side, but that's okay. So it's going down. And Next up is the little dog that you are going to put down. Well, that sounds not very good that we're going to put down. We're going to glue it down. We're not going to put down the dog. We're just going to glue him down. Or her. I think closer to them, just because she's part of the family. There you go. And coming in with my handy dandy, oh, now this one is black, so I don't know. Let me first just come in with the, and I'm using a cotton swab, or this little piece of cotton, and I'm polishing it, making sure it is going down. And the same with the dog too. Definitely just going to make sure his tail or her tail is down. The little feet. All around. And there you go. Oh, I need to touch up there, but maybe it won't be as noticeable once we start going over with the wax. So there you go. I've learned from experience to start on the back and not to go right in on the front. So you will need to dab, if you use this wax that you can use with the chalk paints, very, very light, go in and just do that. Oh, I need to cut away there. That's just a little bit dangerous. Let's smooth that down. So this wax, you're basically sealing it, but it's also giving it sort of that distress look. Without adding a little bit, well, adding a little bit of color and not too much color. So I don't think you're going to sit and watch me doing this whole thing. But this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to work my way from the one side over to the opposite side. And then I'm quickly going to wax. So once you have the wax on like that, I would just come in with my finger and really just give it a good polish. So then it will spread all over and it will actually seal the chalk paint. Okay, so going to do this whole area, then the sides, and then move on to the front. And we are done. So we started off with our wooden house and we painted it. We did the pewter cutout as well as the cutout of the little dog. We stenciled the tree on as well as the lettering that is here. And you know, if you want to do something personalized like this for as a wedding gift or something like that, you can just do it on a plain block of wood if you don't have the house concept, and you don't necessarily need to do the cutout either. You can just do with pewter lettering, Mr. and Mrs. and the last name, and then the establish and the date in the pewter as well. I did decide to go ahead with the tin roof or the corrugated tin roof. I really just think it gives it that little bit something of extra. As always, thank you so much for spending time with me in the studio today, and always remember, the world of reality has its limits, the world of imagination is boundless.